On today's episode of the Slide Experience podcast, we discuss finding balance in leadership. My guest today is a daring and dynamic woman who is on a mission to ignite growth mindsets, develop personal leadership, and resilience in careers and business women to help them move to adversity from adversity to audacity. She has provided transformational learning experiences to Access Bank, GT Bank, Nigerian Board Associations, just to name a few. She has won the Leader of a Decade Award by Women Economic Forum. She has been featured in several publications in Canada and in Nigeria. She is a life sync expert, global coach, author of 3 books in Canada, New York, and Nigeria, and a speaker. She aims to empower you to reset your mindset and reframe your adversity to become audacious. Audacity. Please welcome my guest, Mounfiq Abu. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Latasha. Thank you.
Please
Yes.
forgive me. I was like, I just wanted to make sure I pronounced your name correctly, but welcome and thank you so much for saying yes.
No problem. I'm so glad to be here.
So let's get
Yeah.
right into it. So tell the audience, like I usually ask the first question as someone's why. Why are you in the space of leadership? Why are you doing the things that you're doing in your community?
Hmm. The why is really hedged on the fact of wanting to make a dent in the universe. Like I'm in the pursuit of making sure I can influence as many people as I can positively, impact them as much as I can positively before I go. I started coaching, or I leadership found me by accident when I lost my mother when I was only 19 years old. So that's when leadership found me, because until then I was the awkward teenager, very naive, very timid, no iota of confidence whatsoever. And looking at her life was cut short at the age of 37. And the impact she made at such a young age. And I'm a Muslim, so we bury in less than 24 hours as soon as a person passes on. And my entire community in my village in Nigeria here was filled up with all strangers from different places. My family, my village, or the people in my community had never seen that before. So as a 19-year-old, I quickly dried the tears running down from my eyes, seeing what people were saying and talking about this woman that had just passed on, albeit prematurely at only 37 years old. And the one thing that just resonated in my brain is that she has completed her assignment. She came here for a reason and she has done the work. It's not about the length of life she lived, it's about the impact she made. Didn't matter she didn't live to old age. Didn't matter she didn't get to see not one of my 6 children. It didn't matter she didn't get to see me get married or anything of the sort. What mattered is the time she had fulfilled her assignment. And just that 19 years I had with her, I've been able to continuously repeat what she has been able to pass on to me. So for me, I just want to also fulfill my assignment. I'm on this journey of living to the maximum in my potential. I love to learn. My mind is like a sponge. I'm continuously learning. I even prefer to learn than to teach sometimes. But whenever I learn, I want to impact. So the goal is, how many people do I want to influence before I leave? Every single day I must influence, even if it's just one person. That is what guides me. That's my why. It makes me wake up every morning, makes me so excited to start the day. Even if I'm having a bad day, I've had challenges along the way, as all of us have. But the fact that I have this behind my mind all the time, or in front of my mind, I would say, what impact am I going to make today? So that continuously leads me forward. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing your story about your mom and your experiences. And I think that may be the reason why we connected. And I didn't know that. And so, just to share a little bit about me, I lost my mother. She was 29 and I was 12. And I tell this story often because, same thing, you're literally saying the same things. It's more so. I feel that God told her on her deathbed that, I would be okay. Her children would be okay, and she gave us everything that we needed in the 12 short years that I was blessed to have her on this earth. So it's been a journey, right? And so
Yeah.
I relate. I definitely relate to your story. And I think that's amazing how you have transformed into a leader, because I have over 20 years of leadership, and you can tell when someone actually takes their experiences to impact other people based off of where they are mentally and spiritually as well. And I feel that that is exactly what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for
So, being called a leader of the decade. So,
that.
tell me, what has been your take on leadership in corporations and just individuals right now?
Mm, yes, I truly believe that, especially as women, we were born to lead. Then, when you are fortunate to have a child, you are the first lens your child uses to see the world. God has given you this gift of another human being to be able to direct, mold, support, nourish, nurture this person. That is leadership right there. You are leading that person's life. So I actually think leadership starts from the home, but specifically, leadership starts from the self. You know, a lot of us assume leadership is something external outside of us, something somebody is doing, then we are following. So there's a leader, there's a follower. But my own take on leadership is more about self-leadership. Like most Nigerians, we are so many, all of us, we are millions and billions. I don't know how many we are if you count the Nigerians in diaspora. Most of us will say, oh, the government, there's so many problems, political turmoil, safety issues, and all. Then you now feel, oh, Nigeria is this or Nigeria is that. But I've lived overseas. We met when I was living overseas outside of Nigeria. And I saw everything happening. I've been traveling outside Nigeria since 2001. I've lived in America for over a year at some point in my life, nonstop. So in Houston specifically, then in San Diego. So I understand the fact that the West is more developed than us. There are a lot of systems and processes in place, but I believe leadership starts with the self. Now, what is the change I want to see in my own little corner of Nigeria that I'm in at the moment? So if it's just this, my small office space that I'm talking to you from, what is the change I want to influence in this environment? So I feel leadership starts with the self. We need to be able to lead ourselves to achieve the goals and the aspirations we set for ourselves. We need to be able to lead ourselves to envision the future we want and be able to lead ourselves to pursue that vision assiduously despite the obstacles around us. We need to be able to lead ourselves to be able to avert any negative thoughts that even our mind is using to hold us back. That's why it has to start with us, because with the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, the way the subconscious mind kind of messes with your brain, because that's your default mind. That's where the culture, the limiting beliefs, all of the things come from. Then when you set an intention, I want to lead, I want to be bold enough, I want to be able to do something with myself, your subconscious mind tells you you're not good enough, you're not worthy. It tells you all these negative things. So leadership starts with self. And knowing yourself is one of the most hardest things you can be able to do. So I strongly believe that if we look at leadership more like something we have to do for ourselves first, it will cascade in every other place we go. Just how you're saying, you are able to recognize somebody that has been able to do the work for leadership on herself or in the leadership space or even any personal development capacity. You are able to recognize that person from any conversation or any interface. So that means that person is leading herself. So now, if your community is not the way it should be, as long as you always lead yourself, the circumstance around you will shift because people will only treat you based on how you present yourself. If you present yourself like you don't believe in yourself, people will walk all over you. If you want people to believe in you, you need to first believe in yourself. So when you lead yourself, you carry yourself with a certain grace, a certain confidence, a certain competence. So when it now comes to the organization, when it now comes to starting from even applying for a job, there is a way that you would be able to speak confidently, to hone your skills, to be able to defend what is in your resume in a way that will capture the recruiter's attention to say, yeah, there's something unique about this person. Then when you are one of the few women that get a seat at the table, you are able to speak for the rest of us so that the men there will know that they are missing a lot for not having more of us at that table. So I see leadership more in the sense of self-leadership, having that discipline, having that mindset, that growth mindset piece, having that tenacity as well to be able to overcome any obstacle that comes your way and just striving forward. So whenever you now get to a place where there is good leadership above you, people are looking at you and they are seeing the potential, you are easily recognizable. But when you're looking for the person up there to pick you up from the bottom, you may never leave the bottom. If you want to leave the bottom, you need to lead yourself first to propel yourself forward. Like that seed you plant, it needs to germinate and sprout for somebody to say, oh yeah, there's a plant here growing, right? But if you're just a seed beneath the soil and you're like so comfortable in that little warm place you are in, you don't want to get uncomfortable. You don't want to lead yourself, don't want to take risks. You don't want to face the fear of the unknown. You're constantly self-sabotaging, procrastinating. Self-leadership enables you to overcome all of those kind of things that make you kind of caged in with that limiting belief that holds us back. It helps you to kind of break out of those limiting beliefs when you lead yourself. So that's how I really see leadership in the space of leading yourself.
I do agree. Being intentional, showing up for yourself, looking the part. I always say you have to lead yourself before you lead others. And then also growing your mindset. I think it also starts there, right? So just what you're stating, I think when we step out on leaders and when we actually leading others, a group of individuals or an organization, we have to identify who we are first so that we can resonate that to our teams. And I think a lot of that is self-awareness. And sometimes, even though I know that if you're a strong woman, I'm going to show up that way because you're going to see me first, right? So, and then I speak. So
Mhm.
we want to make sure that we show up the right way. And even as
Yeah,
African American women or just Black women or women of color, most of the time they see us first before we even speak, and so we have to show up a certain type of way. So what do
yeah.
you think are some of the biggest challenges, though? Because I feel that we have those that are coming out of institutions, and we'll talk about that because I definitely wanted to get your view on the educational system, because I know that you actually did a video about that or a workshop about that. So what do you feel like the biggest challenges are right now with those that are coming out of our universities and colleges going into the workforce?
Mm, yes, oh wow. Where do I begin? I actually have I actually have children in that space at the moment. My son is in Houston. He's looking for work. He's been looking for work since May. He graduated in May. He's an engineer. So when it comes to leadership and that self-leadership piece, I feel that the young ones of now, those in their 20s now, trying to get work, coming out of school and looking for work, I think that tenacity aspect, resilience, having that kind of that inner strength, that mental toughness that is required to handle rejections needs to really be addressed over and over and reiterated to them. Because failure, we need to teach our children how to handle failure. It's a self-leadership tool. You need to be able to know how to handle rejections and learn not to take rejections personally. So right now, I think the youths of now, there's this instant gratification with the age of social media, with all of the way everything is painted and is so unreal, but that's what they believe and that's what they take as realistic, which it's not. So it's the gray area. We just need to keep working on that gray area to make them see things exactly as it is, to let them know. Every time I'm coaching my son, sometimes I feel God directed me to do coaching because I was in the bank for over 13 years and I quit to fully immerse myself in the coaching, teaching and training and consulting space specific to leadership and mindset. But everything I study and every time I engage in discussions like this, it makes it clearer that the fact that I'm a coach is helping me to be a more intentional parent, you know, than if I wasn't in this industry. So it's giving me the tools to be able to help my own children, because I feel being a parent to a young adult is the more difficult stage of parenting than teenagehood and young adulthood. Is a very difficult space for a parent, and also very difficult for the teenager and the young adult too, because they resist whatever you're positioning to them, only to find out later that, oh, I think what mommy was saying, but we are hoping that they don't find out too late. So you just need to keep reiterating and iterating to them that importance of being resilient, being adaptable, right? Being tenacious, handling rejections with a brush of the shoulder, like it's not personal. Do not allow what another person does to be the cause of your frustration or stress, for that matter. The person just is doing what they're doing. You do what you can do. I feel rejection and failure is the best way to learn and the best experience to help you to go back and find out, what did I do wrong? So now my son is gotten so many rejections. The employment market has been very, very messless, I tell you. For most, this year, everybody I ask about it, they're like, oh, how many rejections does he have? Okay, my son has this number. Okay, let's compare notes. Whose is higher? Like it's bad. And it's ironic for us in Nigeria that we traveled overseas. So to give them this education in the foreign land, in the West, where you're from, to say, yes, when they finish engineering, oh my God. And it's not cheap. We are paying international fees. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
It's not even cheap for the Americans or the Canadians. They have to take student loans. We don't qualify. We pay cash. It's not easy. So he has his own place to stay. We have to pay for that. We have to feed him. And he's still looking for a job every day. But what I see, working on his resilience, his self-leadership, coaching him to face rejections without taking it personally. What I told him now is, looking for a job is your job now. Do it with excellence.
Yeah.
Be a very excellent job applicant. So these days, he talks with so much confidence, tells me how he's practicing for the next interview. Oh, I just got rejected just now, mommy, but I'm practicing for the next one. So I feel that's what's lacking. They need to have more resilience. They need to get out of their head that things come easy. Easy come, easy go. If you want something, you need to fight for it. You need to believe in yourself. You need to go at it over and over and over again. And you must be aware that whatever is not working right now for you is actually working on you.
Right. Yes,
We need to
exactly.
reframe that adversity of those rejections to a place of audacity. So that's what it is.
So you mentioned that they handling failure, the fear of failing and doing something. I feel like the new generation, whether it's millennials, those are literally just coming out of university leadership or coming from a management degree. They're the expectation is so much higher, but at the same time they're going through life with their head down. So I feel like the lack of communication is there, the effective communication. They don't know how to communicate with you. So when they do get the interview, it's a disconnect. So when I'm interviewing someone for a job, it's either you can see that they're not confident in it, but they want to tell me exactly what they feel like I want to hear versus being themselves. Or there is a lack of research, or they just want to go from what I call, from ground zero to the C suite. And it doesn't happen that way. So we have to humble ourselves enough to prepare for what we have to start so that we can actually get the exposure, get the experience to become the expert. So there are steps to this thing called
Yeah.
leadership. But you have to, show up the right way with the expectation of just learning and getting the exposure that you need. Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as, I mean, how do you feel like we can change it? Because I talk to a lot of young people and I do a lot of presentations and speaking engagements here as well. When it comes out, they just don't know. They don't know what they don't know. And so I'm trying to figure out, like, how do we change that? I know we're having the conversations as leadership coaches, as those that are actually, you've been in the workforce for, years, but at the same time, right now, their world is totally different than you and I. Where we came from, how we started, and that the experiences that we've endured is totally different than what they're experiencing right now. So
Mm.
what do you feel we can change, or what type of conversations are you having about that?
Exactly what you're saying. This other piece of lack of communication, they have very little communication skills. They want to be on their devices all day, and they're not communicating with other human beings. They're communicating with people they know and maybe sitting in front of them with a device. So they really need to get comfortable. They need to be able to throw themselves into uncomfortable situations and see how they can weather through that maze of being in community, starting in conversations with people they don't know. That's one thing I'm also working on for my children as well. I notice the comfort level that they have is like the device is like you and I are different. I was raised, brought up, born in Africa, so I'm definitely your upbringing would be more sophisticated, I think, than mine. But the way we were raised, I was born in the late 70s. I'm 47 now, so it was more like community. My mom could be at work, she was a teacher, and maybe she has students to grade and she's staying extra hours at school. And the neighbors, my neighbor has the authority to discipline me, has the authority to make sure I do what my mom would require I do. So I'm very conscious of the fact that my mom is not around, but my neighbors, and it's not one neighbor, there are several of them, and everybody's playing on the streets and talking to all the kids in the streets. We are like from the same house. We didn't like each other per se. We didn't need to get along to just communicate. Communication was that communication piece, getting yourself out of that adaptability, be adaptable to situations that are new to you, that are strange to you, try to adapt. It's one of the reasons for me, I'm here in Africa and I'm happy to be back here because it's making my kids face this discomfort. My daughter left Canada. She's now in New York as a master's student in NYU. And she has her own apartment. She has a community. She goes to the mosque and mixes with people. She has a part-time job in retail selling handbags. So she's really pushing herself out of her comfort zone. Before, she wouldn't leave the house. She's like, I'm comfortable here. Everything I need is here.
Hmm.
So my son too is in Texas. Is not with his sister in New York. Intentionally, he's in another part of America, so far apart, and trying to make his way on his own as well. I just believe that resilience is the best way to get out of all of these gaps that people I feel adversity is the best teacher, really. I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel that you learn anything from a place of comfort.
Yeah.
The only place you can learn something is a place of discomfort, a place of pain. It doesn't have to be the kind of pain you and I have gone through that is so traumatizing. But the truth be told, if we didn't face the tough things we face, we wouldn't have come out the way we are.
Right.
According to Abraham Lincoln, he said, it's only the test of fire that makes fine steel. You know, if the thing is going to be come out really smooth and nice and beautiful, be sure that something tough has happened to that person. There's some, there's some, there are some hard knocks that have happened that like really. So I feel they need to have that bit of discomfort so that these gaps they have in. And I think also maybe that's the work you do. I was just telling my mentor today that I have a community called the Life Sync Leadership Academy. And I'm like, eventually I want to be talking to young adults that are trying to get into the job market right from school. They get the coaching to face these rejections. They get the coaching to know how to present themselves confidently. It's not only book smart, you need to be street smart. You need to be world smart. You need to be current affairs smart. You need to be politically smart as well.
Yes.
You know, the book smart is emphasized too much. And in the real world, the book smart doesn't do anything for you except you submit your degree or your master's or whatever, and you meet a criteria. Then the rest of the work is now you. What are the skill sets you have learned? How have you built your confidence? How do you speak assertively? How do you defend? How do you convince? How do you persuade? How do you negotiate? These things they don't teach you in school. You
Mm-hmm.
learn that in life school. So I think it behoves on us as coaches to also create some frameworks within our own systems to give these people, these young millennials, these young ones, our children and people like they are struggling with this, the necessary toolkits to develop, to sharpen their skill sets before the time to start applying for jobs and all the things that are happening. That's what I think we can do.
Love it, love it, love it. So you mentioned your Life Skills Academy, and I
Yeah.
know you have a book, and it's called Life Skills Blueprint, correct?
Sync. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
sync.
I'm sorry, Life Sync Blueprint. And so tell us about it. So tell us more about your book and also your academy.
Yes. So the Life Sync Blueprint book
Mm-hmm.
is it's a book that took me 7 years to write. And it's really a love letter. I call it a love letter that I wrote for the overwhelmed career woman or man that is trying to get to the pinnacle of their career, trying to get to the top of their game. But because, especially for us women, when I was in the banking industry, there were a lot of us women that applied at the entry-level position. But as we keep climbing the career ladder, most women fall out of the ranks because we get married, or we are trying to get married, or we're trying to have kids after we get married. There are so many miscarriages because of work toxicity, stress, office politics, and all the things. Then everybody clamoring for the few management positions available. So we fall out of the ranks. So 7 years into the banking career, I was able to become a manager. And I was a manager for 5 years until I resigned in 2015. And I was the youngest manager leading men that were older than me, of higher grades than me, because I applied the principles of the life sync. I really believe that you can actually sync your career and your personal life and every segment of your life. When you look at I have what they call a life sync. I have what they call a life sync. I'm looking for the thing. Sorry. Okay, I found it. Okay, so I have what they call a life sync wheel. So
Mm-hmm.
when you look at different segments of your life, it's not just two things we get to do as human beings. It's not just work and it's not just work and life. That's why work-life balance never works, because they look at work and life. What about self-care? What about personal growth? What about your finances? What about your relationships? What about your health? What about your mental health? Your physical health? So with Life Sync Blueprints, we look at all the segments of your life sync, of your life wheel, so that you will be able to integrate every aspect of your life in a perfect synchrony and be able to achieve the maximum in your career or in your business, but also be able to still be a good parent, a good partner to the best of your ability with less stress and burnout. So at the Life Sync Leadership Academy, we teach people how to implement the 10 principles in the Life Sync Blueprint book. We have the Life Sync Book Club as well, where we also go through so many books and other books like we have the Life Sync Blueprint book. We are right now going through, I don't know, everything is falling out of my table here. We are looking at the start. It fell down. We are looking at Think and Grow Rich and the Startup of You. That's what dropped under the table right here. So, that's what we are looking at right now in the Life Sync Book Club. So we look at all of these things to enable us to be able to be more wholesome, because all of us, including this young adults we are talking about, we are sinking. Most of us are sinking in the so-called hustle and bustle. The goal of Life Sync is to enable us to sink. So stop sinking. Less burnout, less overwhelm, no more mom guilt, no more mom guilt. You'll be able to sink your life instead of sinking. So that's the message of the book. Yeah.
I love that. I really, really do. I don't agree that there's a such thing as work-life balance. It's very unbalanced, for sure. And what I've learned in my 20 years of leadership, I have 4 degrees. Number one, no one has ever asked me what my degrees were in or what did I actually go to school for. They just want to know that I have them and I have the ability to lead a team and get the results that they need, right? So, and that's the biggest thing, is actually overcoming that part of it, and showing up the right way. So what's next? I know that you speak all over the world, and you've been writing books, and you said it took you 7 years to write your current book, which you
Yeah.
actually built a whole academy around. So
Yeah.
what's next for you?
Oh, what's next? I want to take the Life Sync message all over the world.
Mhm.
I created the academy so that I can build communities that will become Life Sync seekers, people that will be seeking to sync their lives in perfect harmony, men and women alike. The goal of the Life Sync Leadership Academy is to help you improve your impact, your influence, and your income. So we're taking the message of improving your impact, your influence, and your income, which is gotten from the foundation of self-leadership and mindset reset as well, incorporated into that. And we want to take it to the entire world. I want to be able to be speaking in every part of the world, in America, in Canada, in the UAE, in Africa, in every part of Africa. I'm taking the Life Sync message all over the globe. So that's my just conquering one continent at a time. So that's what it is. It's community building, getting Life Sync seekers, helping them to create more Life Sync seekers, and just going with that, because I feel it's a very solid solution to help people to live better, do better, grow better, with more wholesomeness and happiness. Yeah. And just fulfillment. Yeah.
So you said impact, income, and what was the other?
Influence.
Influence. I love that. So the three I's: impact, influence, and income. So you want
Yes.
to get tapped in. So where does the listeners get in contact with you? Where do they follow you? Where are you at your social media? All
Yeah,
of
please. They should go to, I'm everywhere in social media. I just use my name, Mounfiq Abu, Mounfiq, middle name Raiyan, then last name Abu. If they need to find me on Facebook, On LinkedIn, that's the name to search for. Then I'm on Instagram with my business name. I am the CEO of a consulting firm called Ryan Inspires Consulting Limited. So you can find me on Instagram as Ryan, as Ak Ryan, RAIYAN underscore inspires. RAIYAN underscore inspires. INSPIRES. Yeah. So that's where they can find me, and they can go to Amazon or Kindle and get this book. And they can do print on demand. We have the hard copies. If they want the hard copies on Amazon for 25 bucks. And the hard copy is really pretty because this is really bitten up a bit, but when you open it, you see the whole book again. So it's
Mm.
really, yeah, so it's like having, and it's like really solid. If they want this 25 bucks, I think this is 20 bucks on Amazon. So they can get the book anywhere on Amazon and Kindle, but in Nigeria, we do have it in bookstores nationwide here in Nigeria, but those overseas can get it on Amazon. Yeah.
I love it. I love you have to give me some pointers. I'm writing a book now too, so
Yes,
and I
I
need some
will. And
it's
we'll be on Audible by next week. Yeah, I've been in studio recording. I did more than 7, 8 weeks in studio. So we have everything. We have the live sync music is soothing you to relax you. You will feel so at ease and at peace. It's really nice.
Oh, thank you so much. I have learned so much from you. I know you are an expert in your field of leadership and personal development and mindset. And so that's why I just had to have you on my show. I enjoy speaking to other women that are inspiring their communities through leadership and development because I think there needs to be more of us having these conversations. But again, thank you so much for saying yes. I have enjoyed you. And as always, this has been another great episode of the Sly Ed Experience podcast, where successors lead you through education and determination. I am your host, Latasha Sly, and as usual, have a great one.